Bonsai Dream.
Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mauro Stemberger and I want to thank the Long Island Bonsai Club at the person of Cecilia Gomez to sponsor this episode, and thank you so much for following me and subscribe, and also don't forget to leave your comment and suggest if you want something special for the next episodes. Thank you. Tonight I'm here at Nature's Way, and I'm gonna do for you a nice demonstration on this Colorado spruce. It's a beautiful old tree, a Yamadori, so a tree collected in the mountain, and this tree was collected 2 years ago, and as you can see, the tree is nice and strong and ready to be worked. We can see the elongation from the past 2 years, so this is the sign that the tree is ready. So spruces, we have a lot of spruces all over the world because all the North Hemisphere has spruces, starting in the Asian part, Europe and North America. There are a lot of different variety of spruces. Colorado blue is actually one of the strongest one. In Europe, for example, we have Picea abies, so it's called like a red spruce. And for example, in Japan, they have the Azo spruce that has very, very nice tight needle. The Colorado blue, obviously famous for its color, that can go from the bright blue to also a very iridescent green like this one. The Colorado blue is well known for being one of the strongest one. Generally in Colorado, those type of trees, they grow in the old beds of rivers with a very acidic soil, have a lot of boulders. That's the reason why most of the time you can find nice original deadwood on the tree. You can see this one in particular has some nice shari on the trunk that probably were created by the rolling of some stones on top of the tree, and also you can see some original gin that really gave a nice character to this tree. Even if it's a very small tree, this spruce has a very, very old bark because in nature, for the lack of nutrients, they grow very, very slow. So you can find trees that easily can have 60, 100 or even more years old, and they are still very small because they were not able to grow for the lack of nutrients and also for the lack of water during most of the growing season. The mountain in Colorado, the Rocky Mountain, are pretty famous to be to have a lot of snow in winter, but after spring, they get a very big drought period that goes all over summer, and they get still a little bit of snow maybe at the end of the season. So these trees, they have to stay without water for a big part of the growing season. That's the reason why they are already miniature trees. So the goal for tonight will be to try to take out the best from this tree and style the main branches, cleaning some of the old wood, and give the first step for the future bonsai for this tree. So let's see first the tree in detail, and then we start working. So when we approach a material like this that has to be worked for the first time, the first three elements that we have to take in consideration are the movement of the trunk, the base of the tree, and the position of the structure. So we have to analyze these three elements and find the best match to be able to pick the front of the tree and eventually the angle of the tree. So on a tree like this that was collected in nature, we have to clean a little bit more the superficial soil to discover if we have a nicer base that during the potting, the first potting, was kind of buried down in the ground, because most of the time this tree grows in a little rock pocket, and when they were planted, they just go inside of the pot, and normally the original base is kind of disappearing inside of the pot. We can already see how a little bit the trunk go down until more or less couple of inches, where we can start seeing the first twist of the trunk. We can also clean a little bit of the old bark from this section that is a nice shari that also goes up and connect to this one. And in the meantime, we can analyze which angle could be better for our tree. We have a lot of character in this first section of the trunk, and less character here, probably because originally the tree was just laying in this position down. That's the reason why most of the shari and the dead branch are here in the top. But what we can do is try to lift the tree up, putting in evidence this first part of the trunk. We have to do some work in this intermediate section that has a little bit of a reverse taper because of this old branch that died, and then the tree created a column, a big column around this section. So we can start cleaning these, cleaning here, and or reopening some deadwood in this section here. And then, as I said, basically we have 1, 2, and 3 big structural branches. So we can figure out a nice design with these branches. For example, putting the tree with this inclination and start moving down and towards the front. This branch shorting this gin, creating a little bit of deadwood. So we can use this as a first branch. We can use this branch as a back branch. Spruce is very flexible, so it's easy to bend branches and put them in position, especially in spring, now that the tree has a lot of moisture inside of the branches. And we can use this upper branch as a nice top, and also we still have some foliage to create more branches. So generally, when I find out my project for the tree, what I normally do, I start first working on the deadwood, get the deadwood done so I don't have to go and retouch it. And then I wire all the branches, especially the structural one, according to the direction I'm gonna put in position. So if this one has to come and do this movement, I have to wire these clockwise. So I have to anchor either on a gin or wire to another branch that has to be wired counterclockwise. And I have still this one and the main line that need a structural wire, so I can eventually pair those two branches to push them down and eventually go around with this one and create a nice apex. So now I'm gonna start first of all to work on the deadwood, and then we proceed wiring the rest of the tree. So using these two tools, a Rudiban and a precision knife, I'm gonna start cleaning the lower part of the trunk and discovering which part are alive and which one are dead. So you can see I can clean this old bark and understand where the tree is dead, going inside and opening up, as I said, trying to connect the two parts of the shari. So gently, you see here there is no living part of the wood. Can go with my Rudiban as well. Opening up and getting all the frontal part of the shari exposed. And here you see where we find the leaving part where there is a little bit of sap. So, doing that, we can create a nice and interest on the frontal part. So you see also now in this side here, I found the living part, so I can create a nice connection. And doing this, I give character to the first part of the trunk. Let's work now the second part, opening up Deadwood around this section here. That is the problematic section that has kind of the reverse tape, but creating a little bit more shari, I can have a better visual. I open up around this gin and create some character to mimic a little bit the character of the lower part. As I said, spruce are very strong, so during this coming growing season, the tree will put a lot of energy trying to recreate a callus in this area that I'm working now. And see that this lower part can match the upper one, and we can build a nice character along the trunk. So now that I took care of the lower part of the trunk and create a little bit of character in this transition between this section and the upper section, I want to remove what I think I'm not using for the styling. So remove some of the branches. I have this big long gin coming towards me, so I want to short it because it will be too frontal. Clean all the dead branches that obviously they are not useful for the design. Eventually some little branches growing inside of the crotches. Keep cleaning the branches. I have nice branches here. This part we can make as a gin. Some branches here. It is important to do the cleaning before wiring, so we can also easily work our way through the branches while we wire the vegetation. So here we are. Okay, we have some nice gin here in this part. Okay, we have a nice gin here that I can also clean with my Rudiban. It's a nice part of the character of the tree, and I can also clean this gin here. Using my concave cutter, I work the tip of the gin, breaking down the fiber of the wood to create a nice and more natural taper. And here we are, all the preparation of the deadwood is done. When we work on a tree in general, or a tree like this, the strategy on the work is very, very important. What I mean as a strategy is we have to be able, even before touching the tree, to create and to imagine where we're gonna do, what we're gonna do, and where we're gonna go. So we need to be able to visualize the final project either for a short amount of time, that can be a little demo like this, but also in a longer period of time, that can be the development of this tree. Sometimes we don't have a tree that is ready to be transformed right away in a bonsai, so we have to work with time and have some branches to grow and other feature of the tree to become better, like the base, for example, or if we have to plant the tree in a different angle and we need to develop roots, we need to be able to have a strategy for that. So every step on the bonsai work has to follow this strategy. As you can see tonight on this demo, my strategy go through steps. My steps are very, very easy. I visualize my final idea according to some elements that I go and I pick to decide my front and which branch I want to use and which part of the tree I want to highlight. After that, I work on the deadwood and I remove what is not necessary from the tree. And now the next step will be wiring the branches, as I said, again with the strategy, according to the direction I'm gonna move those branches. So according to the direction, this branch is gonna go clockwise, this branch is gonna go counterclockwise, and this branch is gonna go clockwise because it's gonna go around and rebuild the apex of the tree. So I have three main structural branches and I build my strategy for the wiring around what is my structure. So strategy, as I said, is very, very important, and as much as you can build your work, around this word, the final result will be much better and the tree will be safer because every operation is done thinking of what we are doing. We are not just cutting a branch or putting a piece of wire or doing a gym. No, everything is according to a schedule and everything is according to a final goal. So now let's see the wiring in detail. So now the first piece of wire will be anchoring in this position and wiring the first branch, as I said, clockwise. While I wire the branch, I also move the branch in the direction that I want. So I'm gonna have already the wire working. And here we have the first setting. When I feel the wire is too thick for the part of the branch, I cut the wire off. And now I have my anchor, and now we move the wiring between these two upper branches. I always cut my piece of wire a third longer than the total length between the two branches. And now we start from the anchor here and we go up in this branch, as I said, counterclockwise, and on this branch clockwise. Counterclockwise, clockwise. It's very important to move away the little branches while we wire the main line. As you see, I follow my wiring out and I never leave my anchor on the other wire. And here we go up to the next branch. Very important that the wire is tight to the branch, so will be not stressful at all for the tree when we put it in position, and the wire will be very effective for the nicer movement of the branches. So now, before finishing up the wire on the tree, let's take a moment and talk about wiring strategy. So when we work on a tree, we have always to think that this tree is like a system. And according to the rule about that one piece of wire has to connect two branches, and one piece of wire from its anchor, that is a U, has to go in the two opposite directions, we have to divide this system in smaller systems and then treat them separately. That's the reason why I dedicate a lot of attention when I wire the structural wire on a tree. Because doing that, I have my system and I already divide this system in 1, 2, and 3 secondary system. Again, anchor here, counterclockwise, clockwise, anchor here, second anchor here, counterclockwise, clockwise. So as you see, even if here I don't have a second branch, the gene acts as my second branch. So basically I have 2 and 2. And I already took care of the structure of the tree. Now, inside, outside, I will wire this section. Same I will do here, and same I will do here, until all the branches are wired according to the previous position and direction of the main wire. It's very important to understand that to perform the best wiring, using less wire as possible, and having the wire very effective to all the branches before the final styling. So now the next step will be wiring this branch and anchoring on the branch that was previously wired. So obviously this branch is going to run in the opposite direction. So we anchor clockwise here. Couple of turns are enough. And we wire this branch counterclockwise. And here we are. Now, using the finer gauge, we're going to wire all the little one in this part of the system. So, here we are after finishing the wiring on the first branch of the tree. So I did all the wire starting from inside and going outside, connecting little branch by little branch. I always try to have at least one loop of wire around the main branch before connecting the little one. I want to create a good connection and have all of them nicely wired to be able to put them in position where at the end I will style and give the shape to the tree. Now that the first part of the tree is wired, I'm going to move in the next one, and at the end I will finish the apex before putting everything in position and obviously putting the tree in the final angle. It's important to get everything wired before giving the final shape, so I'm sure that at the moment I'm going to touch the branch I put in the final position and I don't have to touch them again, giving unnecessary stress to the tree. So let's go through and wire the second branch now. And here we are at the end of the wiring. As you can see, I already put the tree in the final position where I can see the base of the tree, the trunk moving slightly up, and my first branch already going in the direction will be the final position. I have the branch I will use for the back of the tree and a little bit the right side, and then I'm gonna move these branches back to create the apex of the tree on top of the trunk. I want to create a kind of a moyoji style, so an informal style tree, very straight and geometrical in lines to put in evidence the characteristic of the trunk. So I will start my positioning from the lower branch and then work my way up to the top. So what I'm going to do, using the strength of the wire, I will push the branch in position. Okay. As I said, spruce and especially Colorado blue is very, very strong. So while I create also my lines, I open up all the secondary branches to allow them to get nice sun. I need to push down the structure here, so I'm going to use a little guy wire, anchoring in this section of the branch, and then going down this gin. So I can push down branch. So this branch, apart creating a little bit of depth, is also creating the right part of the vegetation, and again I'm gonna open everything nicely to allow all the branches to get light. And now we're gonna go up and finish the top. So the flexibility of the spruce is remarkable, and especially in this time of the year, the tree had a lot of sap. It is easy to use a long line and almost recreate totally a part of the trunk line. So Now is only a question on pushing down the branches and creating a nice canopy. I left this one for the final detail. And here I have also another nice branch I can use to finish the nice triangle. So we create the apex nice and round on top of the other branch. So our triangle goes up from the two sides and finish in the apex. And now we can just create a little bit more lines, just setting more branches. And here we are with the final result. So as you can see, I was able to create a very formal tree, very nice and elegant, where you can focus on the trunk and the branches coming down side by side. They frame those details of the trunk that we was talking originally that can give a character to the tree. It was pretty simple to bend the top branch that originally was in the other direction, just bending around and recreating the top kind of in the vertical of the base, so the tree is pretty static, but in the meantime help the observer to focus in the trunk. The aftercare for this tree will be a little bit of protection from the direct sun for the next 2-3 weeks. Obviously allow the tree to grow free for this first season after the styling, so all the main branches can get in the final position. Be always careful when the wire will start biting in to remove the wire, and in maybe a month start fertilizing the tree. It's very important to grow the tree in the position as you can see in this other pot now. Don't repot the tree, just growing with this angle so every branch can get the same amount of light. I want to thank the Society of Long Island, and I want to thank Nature's Way at the name of Jim Doyle that gave me this nice material to work and host me for this virtual demo for you tonight. Thank you so much, stay safe, and see you hopefully in spring 2021. Ciao!
Bonsai Dream.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and now in August from 15 to 25 I will be leading an international workshop, Bonsai Intensive, in my place in Feltre, Italy. If you want to participate or you want more information, send me an email to this address. Thank you.